Hello. IELTS or CELPIP? Which test should I take? Which test is best for me? This is probably a question you're thinking about right now. You're not alone. We get questions like this every single day, both from existing students and new or potential students. Now, there is no one direct answer to that question. I am tempted to say CELPIP though. There is no one direct answer to that question because it is not a one size fits all. So what should help you decide which test is best for you? I will try as much as I can to provide a brief overview between the two tests to help you decide which one is best for you using these 6 prompts. Okay, let's start with the first, which is the test format. CELPIP is strictly computer-based, computer version. That means there is no pen and paper version for the CELPIP test. So if you are computer savvy or tech savvy, or you use a computer every day for work, you probably don't need to worry about that. Note that even though CELPIP is strictly computer based, you do not need to be a computer guru to take this test. The only area you should be worried or concerned about is the writing section, where you have to type. It's something you can learn over time. Really, for every other section of the test, which is the reading, listening, and speaking, you don't have to worry at all because you would not be writing anything. Literally, you aren't writing anything. All you're doing is clicking on A, B, C, D. That's all you're doing. You're not writing anything. And talking about that, every question on the CELPIP test is multiple choice in the drop-down menu. So you don't have to worry about spellings or stuff like that, because you're only clicking on an option A, B, C, or D throughout the test, listening and reading. And for speaking, you're only clicking, you don't have to do anything for the speaking. Whereas for the IELTS test, they have both the computer version and pen and paper version. So you have more options. If you're not very comfortable with the computer, you can do the pen and paper version. Or if you have not so very nice handwriting like me, you might opt for the computer version. However, unlike the CELPIP, the IELTS test requires you to do a lot of writing. Not just for the writing section, but also for reading and listening. You have to write a lot. Many times you're actually writing out your answers, not just clicking on A, B, C, and D. They do have multiple choice options, but there are not a lot of them. Okay, so if you ask me, again, I am tempted to say CELPIP, but no, you decide. All right, number 2 is accents and listening section. So the CELPIP test only uses the North American accent, which is the Canadian accent, in all aspects of the test, given instructions or in your listening section. So you would not hear any of those foreign accents like the ones used in Australia, New Zealand, or Britain. No, you would only hear the North American accent. So if you already live in Canada, this might be an easier version for you, CELPIP, because you're already familiar with the accent, your language styles, and you might not really need to struggle a lot if you already live in Canada. Whereas for the IELTS exams, it includes accents from different countries, specifically 4 accents: British accent, the ones used in New Zealand, Australian, and North America. So if you aren't someone who have lived in any one of these countries, or you don't listen to English a lot, you may struggle a little bit. But in both cases, or in both tests, you are required to listen to English actively on a regular basis, if possible every day, so you get familiar and you understand the accent a lot better. 3 is speaking test format. This one here is a deal breaker. Really, it is a deal breaker for a lot of people. So I'm gonna start with the IELTS this time for the speaking test format. Now for the IELTS test, it is a lot more straightforward because you have someone in front of you. It could be in person or virtually, which is video conferencing, who is talking to you, asking you questions. You're actually having a conversation with a human. That is for the IELTS speaking. However, for CELPIP speaking, it is recorded. You're required to speak to the computer like you would to another person. So my students said, we're sounding like robots because in real life, that's not how we talk. So students find it a lot easier to do the live interview than recording themselves on the computer. In fact, my students usually tell me that their brain literally go blank when they see the question because they just don't know where to start. For example, while recording this video, I've done like 3 different takes. If this was in real life, I'll just be myself. I wouldn't care about so many things I'm caring about right now because I'm talking to somebody. When I make a mistake, I correct my mistake quickly and I move on. So that is the difference. So CELPIP, you're not talking to anyone. You are actually recording yourself on the computer like a robot. Just teasing. Another big thing is, because you are recording yourself, there are a bunch of other test takers around you, and some of them can be very annoying and loud. Actually, examiners are always there to remind students to keep it low, but you know, it doesn't work every time. Before the examiners walk down to tell the person, keep it low, they're already distracting many other people. Just yesterday, my student told me that there was this very annoying guy sitting next to him, and everything the guy was saying was literally on his head and he couldn't think about anything. He literally could not do that part. That's something you should also consider for the speaking version of the CELPIP. I think for that one, I also don't really like it too, but it's really not a big deal. It's really not a big deal. There are always examiners around to make sure things are under control. And then we have the writing section. CELPIP writing section is straightforward, straight to the point. It's really about every day-to-day life, every day-to-day matter, like sending an email at work, you went to a restaurant, you had a problem, your child is having issues at school. It could be about any one of these things. Literally, you're not asked to write anything out of the ordinary. Unlike the IELTS writing, where, of course, the IELTS writing task 1 is straightforward. It's a letter writing, unless you're taking the academic version, which requires you to illustrate a graph, chart, diagrams. A lot of people are actually doing IELTS General, so let's focus on that. And for the IELTS General task 2, which is an essay writing, sometimes the topics are really out of the ordinary. There are some things you've never ever thought about before, something you've never imagined or thought about before. Now you have to write, you have to produce quality writing and develop your ideas. You may find it a lot challenging. Now let me ask you guys, when was the last time you ever wrote an essay? For me, it will probably be high school. Maybe for many of you, it's probably high school, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. But what about email? We write email on a regular basis. You have a problem with your bank, you send an email. You have a problem with your Wi-Fi, you send an email. So that's why CELPIP writing is a little easier than the IELTS writing. If you ask me, I prefer the CELPIP writing 100% over the IELTS writing. And then we've got test duration. There isn't so much of a difference here. The only difference is that for CELPIP, you're taking the entire test in one sitting, which is usually around 3 hours. Listening, reading, writing, speaking in that format in one sitting. However, for the IELTS, you don't take the test in one sitting. Sometimes not even in one day. Your speaking is scheduled in a different day, and the other 3 part of the test is scheduled on a separate day. So you have to dedicate 2 different days for this test. Although in some countries, if you're taking the computer version, you can have it in one day, but still not in one sitting. That means you could have your speaking in the morning and the other part of the test in the afternoon or towards the evening. That is something you should keep in mind. And finally, we've got language and cultural focus. Of course, CELPIP is strictly Canadian based, so the language and cultural focus of CELPIP exams, it's all about life in Canada. So if you are already living in Canada, or you're already schooling in Canada, CELPIP will be a better option for you because you're already familiar with the culture, the language styles, and every other thing. Whereas IELTS includes a more international focus. So it could be about anything from any random country internationally. So some students find it difficult. Now, back to the question. Which test is best for you? Have you figured it out? Let me know in the comment section. You haven't? Feel free to send us a DM. We are happy to help you, walk you through, to help you decide which test is best for you. For free, of course, we only charge you when you're signing up for a class. But if you decide to sign up for any exams without taking a class, please be sure that you are certain as to which of these two tests you want to take. How would you know? I always encourage my students to complete 2 different practices. Complete practices for the CELPIP and a complete practice for the IELTS. Which one did you do better? Which one do you find more comfortable? Which one are you more flexible with? That is the one you should take. So before you make any commitment in terms of making payments, try to complete these tests and see which one actually works better for you. I hope I've been able to answer this question, even though in a very basic manner, but I really do hope I help. So see you in our next video, and let me know if you finally decided which test is best for you by just listening to this video in the comment section. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends, and bye.